The Toronto Maple Leafs really did blow a 3-1 lead in the first round playoff series again. And the Toronto Maple Leafs losing to the Montreal Canadiens in Game 7, 3-1, and in a dreadful performance on Monday night. And yes, they blew a 3-1 lead in its playoff series again. And the Leafs have still not won a playoff series since 2004. And the Maple Leafs really did lose to a Zamboni driver once. And the Toronto Maple Leafs really did lose to a team in its first game coming off the worst COVID outbreak any sports team suffered. And yes, the Toronto Maple Leafs did experience a time where Jason Spezza wanted the Stanley Cup more than the team stars. And in just 31 days from today, they will have set the record for the longest Stanley Cup drought in NHL history at 55 years. And no, this season was not a case of Canada's government barring fans from the stands until Game 6 in Montreal on Saturday night, where 2,500 fans were allowed in. And in Game 7, where Ontario's government permitted 550 fully vaccinated healthcare workers to watch the Maple Leafs play on Monday night. And think about this too. The Toronto Maple Leafs have not gone to the Stanley Cup Final since 1967, when only 6 teams existed in the National Hockey League. There are now 31 teams in the National Hockey League, soon to be 32. And since then, 27 teams have played in the Stanley Cup Finals, and 20 of them have won. And no, this was not a case where I pick against a team just because of a narrative or curses. In fact, this most recent flop fits a narrative so deep that it steals the soul of the fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And exactly why I never bought the cheese on the Maple Leafs. Never once the entire season. And no, this was not a case where bringing in a defensive coach would change the narrative and motivate the team. And no, this wasn't a case where the talented team advanced further in the second round. And believe me, the Habs would not have been in the playoffs under the current format. The Montreal Canadiens had a -9 goal differential in the regular season, and the Toronto Maple Leafs just lost to them in a 7-game series. And that -9 goal differential was worse than teams like the New York Rangers, the Dallas Stars, and the Calgary Flames, teams that did not make the playoffs. And no, the NHL not subbing in Wes McCauley to ref a winner-take-all game last year did not change the result of a winner-take-all game. And no, this wasn't a case where the other team crawled their way back into a series because the opponent's captain suffered a concussion. No, John Tavares was a complete no-show in Game 7, just like the other 24 players that took the ice for the Leafs on Monday night. And no, this was not a case of hockey journalists sitting behind Paul Marner looking for stuff to write about the Toronto Maple Leafs. In fact, Paul Marner is in fact the LeVar Ball of the NHL, and Mitch Marner's focus on the game has been hammered by his father inexplicably talking to people in the press about rumors that rarely pan out. And not a single one of those rumors have panned out. Mitch Marner really still is a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And other conspiracy theories have plagued the Toronto Maple Leafs franchise, and like him, and like the curse, like the officials. And speaking of conspiracy theories, the moon landing was real. The Earth is not flat. Area 51 is not some breeding ground for unidentified flying objects. And vaccinations work. And the Safeguard Complex in North Dakota is not part of the Illuminati. And evolution is scientifically proven as a process, and it's actually a thing. Listen, the Toronto Maple Leafs are to the NHL as to what the Los Angeles Clippers are to the NBA, what the Dallas Cowboys are to the NFL, and until 2020, what the New York Mets were to baseball. All teams with all talk and no results. That's the reality that people in the Maple Leafs front office just simply do not understand. This season, if there was anything, was a referendum on the Toronto Maple Leafs. All the attention surrounding the sport in Canada revolved around the Toronto Maple Leafs and whether they can actually win with all the talent that they have, and whether they can actually win a 4th playoff game in one season. And every single Maple Leafs fan in the USA and Canada today is dead silent. And the Montreal Canadiens sent a message to the nation on Monday night, loudly. They exposed a problem with the organizational structure with the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's great for Canada that they produce some of the league's best players and they occasionally win the Olympic gold medal in hockey, and it's been that way for multiple decades. But it's time for the Toronto executives to wake up and smell the damn coffee, because I warned Leafs fans that this group is not winning the Stanley Cup with John Tavares, and until the franchise incorporates accountability culture and the team escapes their own bubble of alternative facts, that narrative will continue to last, and they will continue to disappoint the many diehard Leafs fans that compose much of the country. And speaking of John Tavares, 3 years with the team, no playoff series wins with the Leafs. Meanwhile, his former team, the New York Islanders, have been in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs in the 3 years without him. And yes, the New York Islanders employed the best coach of the National Hockey League in Barry Trotz. And the New York Islanders got people returning to Borelli's on Monday night with a hand from David Portnoy. And by the way, thank you to Frankie Borelli and the outstanding team at Barstool for an amazing night of hospitality to watch the Islanders beat the Bruins in Game 2, where Casey Zizekas, out of all people, scored the overtime goal. And it made the $31 Uber ride home all worth it. And I had an amazing time there, making new friends and seeing some old ones, and I hope I can return there soon. Hopefully the Islanders advance further to the Eastern Conference, to the Final Four, so I have another outing at Borelli's once again. But as for Canada, whoever comes out of the Winnipeg-Montreal series that starts tonight will get shellacked by either Vegas or Colorado in 2 weeks. In fact, the playoff field consists of the Winnipeg Jets, the Montreal Canadiens, and the 6 best defensive teams in hockey during the regular season. So, for Canada's sake, which hasn't had a team win the Stanley Cup since Brian Mulroney was Prime Minister, for the sake of a nation still suffering from a once-in-a-century health crisis, it's time for those teams to successfully acquire resources, meaning proven professionals and real, mentally tough-minded players, and put a winner together. And the people of Canada are counting on the Toronto Maple Leafs, rebuilding since 1967.